In the year 1587, beneath the looming shadows of the dense pine forests and shifting sands of the New World, a small group of English settlers arrived on the island of Roanoke. They came with dreams of a new life, a life free from the crowded streets of London and the constant grip of poverty. But fate had carved a darker path for the colony. What began as hope ended in one of the greatest mysteries in American history, a silent vanishing that would haunt the world for centuries. Among the 117 settlers who set foot on Roanoke Island was Governor John White, a man driven by duty and the promise of a brighter future. His daughter, Eleanor Dare, carried the heartbeat of the colony within her. A newborn child named Virginia Dare, the first English baby born on American soil. The air was thick with promise, but beneath the hopeful surface lingered something unseen. The settlers built their wooden homes along the island's edge, where the wind howled through the trees and the Atlantic waves crashed against the shore. Days stretched into weeks as they battled hunger, sickness, and the ever-present tension with the native tribes. The island felt alive, but not in a welcoming way. More like something ancient watched them from the shadows. As the summer heat gave way to autumn's chill, strange occurrences began to unsettle the colony. At night, flickers of movement danced through the forest, shadows without faces. The settlers whispered of voices carried on the wind, murmuring in a language none of them understood. Food supplies dwindled, and the fear of starvation gnawed at their minds. The nearby CROATOAN tribe offered occasional aid, trading corn and fish in uneasy silence. Their eyes lingered too long, their expressions unreadable. The settlers could not know whether they were friends or watchers. By the end of the year, Governor White made the painful decision to sail back to England for supplies. He promised to return swiftly, within a season at most. Before he left, he instructed the colony to carve a sign if they were forced to move, the name of their destination, or a cross if danger had befallen them. White's ship disappeared over the horizon, leaving behind his daughter, his granddaughter, and the fate of Roanoke in the hands of whatever forces prowled the land. Months passed, then years. War raged across Europe, binding England's ships to bloodshed and leaving Roanoke forgotten. When John White finally returned 3 years later, in 1590, the island greeted him with an unnatural stillness. The village stood empty. No bodies, no graves, only the skeletal remains of homes rotting under the relentless sun. The palisade walls had been taken down, as if the colony had packed up willingly. The only clue left behind was a single word carved deep into a wooden post. White's heart pounded in his chest as he traced his fingers along the letters. No cross accompanied the carving, no sign of violence. He called out their names into the heavy air, but the wind carried his voice into the void. He searched the island for days, finding no trace of his daughter or granddaughter. Every path led only to silence. The nearby CROATOAN island seemed the next logical destination, but storms churned the seas, preventing White from ever reaching its shores. He returned to England empty-handed, carrying the weight of Roanoke's ghost on his shoulders. Over the centuries, historians and storytellers have spun countless theories about what happened to the lost colony. Some believe the settlers assimilated into the CROATOAN tribe, blending their lives with the native people until their English bloodlines vanished into obscurity. Others whisper of darker fates, massacres, starvation, or perhaps something older that stalked the woods of Roanoke long before the settlers arrived. Legends tell of strange lights seen flickering on the island at night. Fishermen claim to hear faint voices carried on the wind, voices speaking in broken English, as if trapped between two worlds. Even today, the word CROATOAN lingers like a curse in the folklore of the region. One account from the 1700s tells of a lone traveler who found himself stranded on Roanoke Island for a night. He awoke to find his campsite surrounded by footprints, dozens of them circling his tent in the damp earth. The wind carried distant voices, soft and pleading. When dawn broke, the prince had vanished. The only thing left behind was a single word scratched into the bark of a nearby tree. Perhaps the most unsettling theory is that the colony did not vanish at all. At least, not in the way we understand. The land itself may have swallowed them. There are places where the veil between worlds is thin, where something older than time watches from beyond the edges of sight. What if the settlers stumbled into such a place, lured by whispers in the night? Some say the forest grew hungrier with each passing moon, claiming one soul at a time. First the weak, then the desperate, until none remained. If such a fate awaited them, there would be no bodies, no graves, only silence. Over the centuries, the word CROATOAN has surfaced in strange places, always in connection with disappearances. The dying bed of Edgar Allan Poe, the last log entry of the ghost ship Carol A. Deering, a message scrawled on the wall of an insane asylum abandoned in 1905. Even the famed pilot Amelia Earhart allegedly scribbled the word in her journal days before her plane vanished over the Pacific. Is it a curse, a warning, or simply a coincidence? Today, Roanoke Island still stands, a place of quiet beauty and lingering unease. Tourists walk among reconstructed huts and weathered graves, snapping photographs without knowing what truly happened beneath the soil. At night, when the fog rolls in off the water, some claim to hear faint cries echoing through the trees, the voices of a colony lost not to time, but to something far older. The name CROATOAN remains carved into the island's legend, a final message from those who vanished into the unknown. Perhaps the greatest secret of Roanoke is not what became of the settlers, but what still lingers there waiting. And if you ever find yourself alone on the island's shore, listen carefully to the wind. You might hear them whispering, still waiting, still lost, forever.